Hello and welcome back to the Adrian Project. Hello, welcome back everybody. Many thanks for choosing to click onto my thumbnail and watch my content, all very much appreciated. Okay, as always, for those of you that missed the last part, I will be putting it up there, I think it is. So you can click on there, see how far we got in the build and then rejoin us after that, or you can just carry on watching this. Totally up to you. Okay, so where we got to last time, we built the conning towers and put all the little greeblies that aren't going to get knocked off onto the decking. Since then I have sanded out seam lines, not a lot to do on there. They went together really well, so there's not a lot of seam work to do on those parts. Also, what I did, like I said before, there were areas around here that needed filling, so they have all been filled, just there. Might be some little micro gaps that I may need to go over again, but that's not too much of a problem. And on the front parts of the plane, bow planes there as well, so that's all those filled. Let's put that back on there. So excuse me while I get the instructions. So that now means we can move on to section 21. We're ignoring part 20 at the minute because, as you can see, that is putting that part in there. I'm not sure what it is. Nobody put it in the comments. Maybe you know where it is. Is it for air supply or whatever? I don't know. But anyway, this goes in to a slot there in the hull, so it can go up and down, but all that needs painting first, so we're going to ignore that for now, which means we can go on to part 21 and we can start working on all the anti-aircraft machine guns, anti-aircraft guns there as well. So okay, that's going to take a while to do, so with the magic of television, as always, what will be a fleeting glimpse just for you is going to take ages for me, but we'll be back after we've got these guns together. So with all that in mind, I'd like to say Shazam! And there we are. Yes, okay. Yeah, you've sussed me. I have cheated just a little. I have made these before I started recording the video. And honest to God, I am so glad I did as well, because without a shadow of a doubt, these guns here are going to be the most difficult part of the build, in my opinion. If you're going to take any advice from me on this build at all, if you're only going to take one piece of advice, is don't try making these guns all in one go, because it's not going to happen. Now, as I've said on many of occasions, my eyesight is absolutely crap now. I've got the shakes, and there are some really fine fiddly details on these and on the other guns as well. As we noticed on some of the hatches there, you've got those little wheels to put on. Absolute nightmare. I've only got slim fingers, as you can see, but these parts make them look like I'm trying to build a model with half a pound of Cumberland sausages. You are going to need tweezers. So like I say, the first section there, we're making the gun mounts. Easy enough, but like I say, that little wheel there, we're talking what, not even half a millimeter. It's really tiny. It's 1/72 scale kit, so they are going to be really small. So that's easy enough. This section here, it does say it's got a little clock on there. So it's informing you to let it dry after you've done everything. But I'd suggest doing this. First of all, put your two guns onto the gun carriage and then let them dry, because they are a bugger to line up and get right. The instructions aren't the clearest on this bit, and the location slots for them, well, it's hit and miss where you're going to put them. So I'd take your time putting them on. Once you've got them on, because that one goes up right and that one is laid down, let those dry. While they're drying, you can get the gun mount there onto that pole there. Let that dry as well, because that isn't a hole that you've got to go into. It's just like a cutout, a U-shaped cutout. So that's going to be flopping about if you keep messing with it. You've got the shoulder rests there. They are absolute nightmare to do as well. So I do those at the very, very last thing to be done on them. And after many hours of swearing, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get two of these. Now, so like I say, I've put these into the gun mounts already. You don't glue them in, you just slot them in. But I'd suggest that when these have been built, when you've done with them, put them to one side, out of the way, where you're not going to keep knocking them and having to pick them up. I'd also put them on a bit of blue tack as well, just to make sure. But there we go. It's really fiddly fine work. You're going to have to be really careful removing the shoulder rests from the sprue as well. So like I say, I've got the shakes. I've tried using tweezers with this, so my positioning is as best as I'm going to get it. So when you've done, you're going to have two of those, and they are really, really fragile. So I'm going to put that to one side. Here's the other one. So like I say, you don't glue them in to the gun mounts, you just slot them in. I did notice on these gun mounts, I did have to take my drill bit to it to widen the hole a little, because it was really difficult to get that pin in. You don't want to be pushing down on it, or you're going to break the pole that they're on. It's really thin plastic. Again, so like I say, you have to take your time doing this. Don't try and do it all in one go. Do it in two different sections. Leave it to dry for 24 hours till the glue is really, really set, and then glue them all together after that, and then leave them again for 24 hours. Don't go fiddling with them and messing about. So they're the two anti-aircraft guns there. Like I say, really fiddly, really delicate. They are going to be very, very easily broken. So when it comes to painting, you may want to have a strategy of painting them. I'd definitely spray paint with a can or an airbrush if you've got one, if at all possible. Otherwise, if you're using a brush, you're going to have to be very, very gentle with them. Okay, so that was those two machine guns done there. Then you've got your main anti-aircraft guns there. So once again, the magic of television, which would have been absolute hours and hours of painstaking work and turning the air blue, for me will just be a blink of an eye for you. So Shazam! And there we have it, another tiny set of guns. So once again, on this section, like I say, it doesn't tell you to do them and leave it like you've got your little clock there. I only got the little clock on the last one, but I would heavily advise do one section at a time, let it dry before you go on to the next section. So Section 23 was fairly easy enough. That was okay. It was a bit of a fiddle putting that lever on there. I left the handle there till last, till I got to that part and everything was dry before I put that one on, because I didn't want to keep knocking it off. Right, onto this section here. After you've finished 23, going on to 24, it's showing you putting the guard shield on the front, and then you've got those two little pins on there. They are a hole to put in, but you've got to get them straight and level. Bit of a nightmare, those. Now, what I'd advise before you do that, go on to 25. I didn't do it this way, but I wish I had done. Go on to part 25, and then you've got these two parts here, I221, just there, and I223. They are an absolute pig to line up properly when you've got it all slotted together. It would have been much easier. I wish I'd have thought about this in hindsight, so I'm telling you this so you don't make the same mistake. If you've got this shield section off already, I'd glue those on to the front of that before you put those on, because before you put your shield onto your guns, because all you've got in front are two very shallow little slants at the front, and when you've got all the rest of your gun work in the way, it makes it a bit of a pig to get lined up right. So here's my tip for you, is before you do put that bit on, just lay it flat, then you put those two sections on there, and then just slot the whole thing on. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for yourself as well, and you will get them the right angle. And then of course, when you've done that and everything's gone dry, then you could put your little seats on. I would put your these little turning handles there. I put them on before you put it onto the front of the shield. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for you. I wish I'd have given it a bit more thought before I'd done that, but there you go. Also, there's a little bit that goes on the front underneath. That too, I think you can do before you put it on to the main gun. It's going to make it a lot easier. I think Revell really should have told you to put that part 26 should have been part 24 just for that shield bit, because that's a bit of a pig as well with everything, and it keeps falling over. It can make it a hell of a lot easier when you've got those gums in the way. So there you go, just a little tip from me. It's like I say, do each section one at a time, let it dry thoroughly before you go on to the next section. You'll thank me for that bit of advice, and there we go, that's what we've got. So like I said, I wish I'd have followed the advice, my own advice there for those bits, because those two bits aren't in the correct position as much as they should be. They look okay for what it is, people are not going to notice. I noticed it because, like I say, I've made it, but it is going to make it a hell of a lot easier for you if you put those on before you put the shield on, like I said. There we go, that's the gun. Again, this is very, very fragile. You don't want to be picking it up and messing and anything with it. Spray paint as much as you can, because you go in a little too harshly with a paintbrush, you're going to be knocking things off. I used to me extra thin on this, which it does set really quickly. Sorry if that's not there we go. Does set really quickly for you, but I do find it to be a little bit brittle sometimes. I don't think it's as strong as your slower setting one. I do find that, especially the small objects like these turning handles there, they are more easily knocked off when you use Tamiya extra thin than when you do a thicker slowing set. But that could just be me, I don't know if anybody else finds that, but there you go. So that's that gun. Like I say, put it on a bit of blue tack, put it far away from everything else that you're doing, so you're not going to knock it. Okay, so that just left just one little bit for me to do before we can start painting, and that is going on a bit and doing this little radar array on section 44 and 45. I've not done 43 yet because they're the two periscopes and they've got to be painted silver before you glue everything together, so I've got to do that first. So we'll go on to 44 and 45 and we'll have a look at that little radar array there. So once again, which will be a few minutes for my good self, for you good people out there, it's going to be but a mere blink of an eye. So with the magic of television, Shazam! And there we have it. You can see nice little radar array there. I think it's a radar tower, radar aerial. I think that's what it is. Well, it could be just communications, right? Something like that. As I say, I'm not sure. I'm not pretending to be an expert on submarines. Now, just to note a caution on there. When I removed mine, both of mine were broken in half. They looked fine on the sprue, so I was cutting them, and as I was cutting them, that's when I noticed both of them were snapped in half. But that wasn't going to be any problem, because along you've got F197, along there you've got a groove that these pieces slot into, so you're not going to notice that at all. Like I say, once they're in place, no one would ever know. And then of course you've got these two little bits that go on the back. There are a couple of pins now. I weren't sure whether they go all the way in or just partly the way in. I couldn't push them all the way in, so I'm assuming they do stand proud a little. That was straightforward enough. So that is all done and ready for painting. So there we go. That's those parts. That's where we've gotten to already. So like I say, there might be just a little more smidgens of filler to do, because as with all fillers, once they've settled and once they've dried, some of them do sink back and you do think, oh, I need to go over that again. I've just noticed with this area here, there are a couple of little gaps in there that just need filling again with a filler, but that's no problem. And I think then the next episode we will start to do a bit of priming and painting, especially on the decks. I know I'm going to be able to just black the whole hull, the air cans, tape off sections for the two different colours. What I have noticed as well, so like I said, I'm doing the German version, and the paint for the German version says that this surface on there is anthracite, and I was getting a hell of a job where I couldn't get hold of any anthracite spray paint. However, I have looked in a couple of my Revell models in my stash that came with gift sets, and there's two little tubs of anthracite paint in there. So after these have been primed, they're going to get a coat of Humbrol 185, which on some of the modelling sites says is a dupe for anthracite. So that'll be the first coat. Then the second coat I'll be going over with a brush with the anthracite paint Revell that came with the set. So, but that is all for the next episode, so I hope you can see you then. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Please remember, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to my channel. It'd be very much appreciated. And also don't forget to ring that little notification bell. Also, if you've got Facebook, you can follow me at Adrian Bow Project, and if you've got a Twitter account, you can follow me at Project Bower. So, with all that in mind, I'd like to thank you all again for watching, and here's to seeing you all again on the next episode of the Adrian Bar Project.